Your grandmother calls every Sunday asking for you, the nursing home said. Both my grandmothers are dead. I stared at my phone like it had grown teeth. The woman on the other end kept talking, but her words turned to static in my ears. She's been calling for 3 months now, every Sunday at 2 p.m. sharp. She asks for you by your full name, birth date, everything. We finally tracked down your number through her records. I sat down on my kitchen floor because my legs stopped working. My maternal grandmother died when I was 6. My paternal grandmother passed 4 years ago. I watched them lower her casket into the ground myself. There must be a mistake, I managed to say. What's her name? Rosalind Whitmore. She's in our memory care unit. She insists you're her granddaughter and gets very upset when we can't reach you. Rosalind Whitmore. I'd never heard that name in my life. I told the woman I'd look into it and hung up. For 3 days, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I searched every ancestry database I could find. I called my mom and asked about family history. She laughed and said we didn't have any secret relatives hiding in nursing homes, but something nagged at me. My dad had always been cagey about his childhood. Whenever I asked about his parents, he'd change the subject or give one-word answers. His mother, the grandmother I buried 4 years ago, had raised him alone. He never mentioned a father. I called the nursing home back on Thursday. Can I visit her? The staff seemed relieved. They gave me visiting hours and directions. That Sunday, I drove 2 hours to Shady Pines Memory Care in a town I'd never heard of. The building smelled like industrial cleaner and old flowers. A nurse led me to a small room where a woman sat by the window. She was tiny and frail with white hair and cloudy blue eyes. When she saw me, her whole face transformed. Juniper, oh my sweet girl, you finally came. She knew my name, my actual name that I'd never told anyone at this facility. She grabbed my hands with surprising strength. You look just like your father did at your age. Those same eyes. I'd know them anywhere. My blood went cold. How do you know my father? She looked confused. He's my son, dear. Raymond is my son. My father's name is Raymond. I'd never told the nursing home that either. That's impossible, I whispered. My grandmother was Eleanor. She raised my dad alone. Rosalind's eyes filled with tears. Eleanor, that woman. Her voice turned bitter. She stole him from me, told everyone I was dead, changed his birth certificate. I've been trying to find him for 47 years. She gripped my hands tighter. I was 19 when I had Raymond. Unmarried. My parents sent me away to have him in secret. Eleanor was my older sister. She was supposed to help me get back on my feet. Instead, she took my baby and moved across the country. Told everyone she'd adopted him. Told him I died in childbirth. I felt sick. This couldn't be true. But she knew things. She described the birthmark on my father's shoulder. She knew his childhood nickname. She pulled out a photograph from her nightstand, yellowed and cracked. A young woman holding a newborn. The woman was clearly her. The baby had my father's distinctive ears. I hired investigators for years, she continued. I finally found him when he was 30, but Eleanor had filled his head with lies. He refused to see me, said his mother was dead and I was some con artist. Tears streamed down her face. Then I got sick. Memory problems. I ended up here. But every Sunday I remember. Every Sunday I called trying to reach him. And when they said they finally found a granddaughter, I knew God had answered my prayers. I drove home in a daze. That night I confronted my father. I showed him the photograph. I told him everything Rosalind said. He went pale. Then he got angry. Then he started crying. My mother came in and he told her the truth. Eleanor had confessed everything on her deathbed 4 years ago. She'd stolen him from her teenage sister. She'd lied his entire life. But by then, he'd built a life believing his birth mother was a stranger, and he couldn't face the guilt of all those years he'd rejected her. He'd been living with the secret ever since, too ashamed to reach out. We drove to Shady Pines together the next Sunday. When Rosalind saw my father walk through that door, she let out a sound I'll never forget. 47 years of grief released in a single moment. My father held his real mother for the first time since he was 3 days old. She died 6 months later, peaceful, finally at rest. My father visits her grave every Sunday at 2 p.m., the same time she used to call.